All right, guys, Tyler Mayforth here for another post-game video blog. I'm joined by Matt Roberson, of the Jonesboro Sun. He covers Arkansas State. Now, Matt, your initial impressions of this game?
Well, I was really surprised with the second half. I was quite surprised with both teams in the first half. Moved the ball very well against one another. I kind of wondered where the defenses were, but I was really surprised with the offense, the way they moved up and down the field. Second half, I kind of figured it would slow down offensively a little bit, but I figured it would stay close and tight. And I don't know what happened, what ASU figured out about Texas State's offense, but obviously they figured a way out to slow them down and kept them off the scoreboard. It was kind of a surprising finish. Figured it'd be a little closer than it ended up.
In that first half, I was thinking that it was going to be a slugfest the entire way. I thought we were going to be looking at 56 to 55, 63 to 56 game with how these offenses were rolling. And one thing I noticed that Texas State might have done that kind of surprised Arkansas State, correct me if I'm wrong, by throwing it a little bit more. It seemed like that first touchdown pass, that 41-yarder from Tyler Jones, true freshman, to Terrence Franks, wide open on the wheel route they hit last week, 2 weeks ago against Idaho, really surprised the Red Bulls.
Yeah, we talked to a couple of the players, and they said that they had prepared for a lot of different things. That was one thing that they had not seen Texas State do. And I guess I don't know how much they've used it, but they didn't catch it on film, so they weren't really ready for it. It was a great play. I think it caught everybody by surprise because when you saw it, literally the back was just running down the field all by himself. No one within 10, 15 yards of it. It was a nice play. And like you said, there were some very nice pass plays there in the first half that Texas State made. I like the way they used their tight end some. I think that's what caught ASU off guard. They were really prepared for the run. That's what they came in expecting Texas State to do, and they mixed in some nice pass plays at some opportune or some nice times.
And one thing Texas State prepared for this week was gang tackling and tackling, which really didn't show tonight. But one thing they couldn't replicate in practice was how good and how fast of a running back Michael Gordon was. I mean, they don't nickname him Flash for nothing. And tonight, 184 rushing yards. Is he this good, or was Texas State defense that shaky?
I don't know that Texas State defense was that shaky. I do think Michael is pretty good. Let me just say this. Early in the year, he got hurt. And so we really haven't seen – we knew last year that Michael was a pretty good running back. But he got hurt. He hurt his ankle. And he hadn't really been able to do a whole lot up until the last 3 games. And over the last 3 games, he's gotten more and more and more. He scored 3 or 4 touchdowns last week against Monroe. 3 touchdowns running and 1 receiving. So we knew he was kind of coming around. The coach had talked about him being healthier, feeling good, and he'd taken over the starting spot from David Oku, who was a 1,000-yard, 16-touchdown guy last year. So it's a little bit surprising to see him blow up like that because he was really fast tonight. There were a couple runs where it just looked like, gosh, there's nobody that can catch him on either team.
That first touchdown run, I thought he covered 40 yards in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
He was just gone.
So you may see that he's an emerging running back. I don't know how good he is yet. He's only a sophomore, so he was obviously very good and very fast. Pretty impressed with him. Just great game for him.
And obviously this puts Arkansas State in the driver's seat for that second place in the Sun Belt Conference. Earlier today, it almost looked like Georgia State was going to do the unthinkable, tied 21-all with Louisiana Lafayette late in the third quarter, but then Lafayette pulls out and wins 35-21. Kind of like Arkansas State pulled away from Texas State tonight, but you got to think that right now with the way that the Red Bulls are playing, they're going bowling this year.
I got to figure that they should handle Georgia State next week. That would get them to 7-4. That game at the end of the season with at Western Kentucky is going to be a tough one. On the road, last game. Petrino's a good coach, great coach, and his teams always tend to prepare and play very well at the end of the season. They tend to play better. Just knowing him from here in Arkansas, that should be a really good game. I could go either way, but I would expect ASU to get a bowl if they can get to 7 or 8 wins. 8, if they get to 8, I think they're in a bowl for sure. Yeah, but one thing I wanted to mention, what really surprised me, not just with Michael Gordon, was that this was the #1 rushing defense in the Sun Belt, and I was just stunned that they gave up so much. I don't know if they just had a bad night or what it was, what the scheme was that ASU presented that they didn't, weren't able to handle, but that's what really kind of threw me, probably surprised me the most of this game.
Dennis Franchione said post-game that it was, in fact, just Arkansas State's tenacity up front, just how they blew Texas State off the line countless times. And Texas State's line has been pretty solid this year, but tonight they look like Pop Warner kids out there, just getting pushed around and allowing, Michael Gordon to find his seams and hit them as he may.
Well, I'll say this too. It's my understanding that Texas State has a very young offensive line.
Very young.
No senior class in the backfield or up front. Maybe?
They're only going to lose 3 seniors to graduation.
And ASU has like 7 of their 8 defensive linemen are seniors. So ASU's pretty experienced and pretty veteran. They're not the best D-line in the league, but they're pretty good and they've been around. So that may have helped just the difference in experience and age and that sort of thing. But it was surprising to see. I really expected to see. I was really expected to see Texas State, stop ASU's run game.
And to kind of wrap things up a little bit, you've been around the Sun Belt for a while. You know what happens in the Sun Belt. You know how teams might go bowling, might not go bowling. And today in college football, we were able to see Kansas pull the upset, if you want to call it. Well, Kansas, if they beat anybody, it's an upset. The Kansas knocked off West Virginia, eliminating them from bowl contention. Several other big games happened today that Indiana can't go bowling, Illinois can't go bowling. I don't know what Northwestern did if they lost, and that made their life a little bit more difficult. But these little things are turning up that these AQs are getting knocked out of the bowl slots. So. Do you see the Sun Belt maybe having 3 or 4 teams making some bowls?
I would expect, the way it looks, the Mountain West Conference, I think they only have 2 or 3 teams that will probably be eligible. They have 6 bowl ties, so there's going to be some spots there. If you can get some of these AQ teams like you're talking about to, Florida, I believe, lost tonight.
That was another one I wanted to mention.
And if they can't get to 6 wins, obviously they can't get to a bowl, so that opens up more opportunities for the Sun Belt. And for the MAC and for other leagues, Conference USA. Last year the Sun Belt put 4 in. I would be surprised if anything less than 3 got to a bowl. At least 3 from this league I would expect to get a bowl, and possibly 4. And if all the dominoes fell right, you might get even 5. But I would say 3 or 4 is very realistic.
And as we were saying before, as you said earlier, 8 is going to be a lock to get into a bowl. 7 is going to give you a 50 to 75% chance. 6, you're going to be left home.
Yeah, 6 would be tough. I mean, I will say this in favor of Troy. They're a 5-win team. They lost to Ole Miss today. They have you guys next week. So if they
last game of the season, they have a bye week before they face Texas State.
Okay. So if they get to 6-6, the GoDaddy Bowl is in Mobile, and if they got 6 wins, GoDaddy Bowl might want them just because it's sort of like a home bowl, a home team. That might be a situation where you could get a 6-win team out of the Sun Belt. But I would expect, other than Troy and that GoDaddy Bowl, I would expect 7 or more.
Well,
to make you bowl eligible, or to get you a bowl.
Well, it's going to be quite the fun end to the season. Anyway, for Matt, this is Tyler Mayforth from the San Marcos Daily Record. Once again, post-game video blog tonight. Texas State falls 38-21 to Arkansas State. Thank you, guys.